We have RetroFest this weekend, and here are our top 5 rules on how we create success at a con. I figured I'd start off with our number 1 rule: bring cash. Now I'm going to transition to showing you how we do it as a buyer, a seller, and a content creator. So whether you fall within each of those buckets or one of those individually or all of them, here are our top 5 rules. I'll show you how Justin does it, how Ben does it, and how Charles does it.
All right, so I'm gonna give you guys the 5 rules coming from the buyer perspective, because I've been doing it for probably about a year and a half at some of the biggest conventions around the United States, Midwest being one of those, being a pretty big convention, but also doing it at small conventions as well. The first rule, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Money is king, so bring cash.
Bring cash.
That is what vendors want the most, for a reason that people probably know. It's not really traceable. That's how you're gonna get the best discounts and best deals. The second one is always be willing to negotiate with vendors. That being said, do not go in aggressive with a lowball. That is something that vendors do not like coming from the selling side. And when people are trying to buy stuff, they don't want to hear a 50% off of their sticker price. So that's kind of a big no-no, but always be willing to try and get maybe 10, 15% off of sticker price, because vendors do sometimes price things up. That's something that vendors do often. So try and get a deal for yourself as a buyer, but be respectful with the deal or the offer. Third one is just kind of like a generic thing. This can go for buyer, seller, vendor, anything at a convention. Just be friendly and conversational with people. This is something that can go a long way. Make friends with people. We have vendors and buyers that we see at most of the conventions throughout the year, and it builds relationships with people, which always pay off. I've never heard of anything bad come out of building relationships with reputable people in the industry. It typically just doesn't happen. So only good things really happen from that. The fourth rule is be respectful of vendor items. I've seen some shorts, specifically Pokemon shorts, of people going through binders and they're kind of like throwing the pages really aggressively. When it comes to video games, the boxes are very fragile, and when the boxes are hundreds of dollars, maybe even thousands, you need to be very careful with vendor items, especially if you do ask to see them, open them up, see what's all in them, which is very common. That's one thing you just need to be mindful of when you're dealing with vendor items, is to be very careful with them. This fifth one is a little interesting because some people might not agree with me here, but I don't like it when I hear buyers at a booth say like arrogant stuff or say that things are overpriced. It comes off a little aggressive and disrespectful. While that doesn't mean that vendor items are not overpriced ever, because like I said, they sometimes do overprice their items. Maybe they pay up on items, or they think the market will go up, etc. There could be many reasons. In my head, would never say at a vendor table, say, oh, this is like way overpriced, or say something just kind of disrespectful about their products. That's just like a personal moral thing. I've heard some interesting stuff said at vendor tables from people that are customers. So that's just one kind of niche rule that I would probably put in there as a buyer, because that also goes into the friendly and conversational aspect of it. If you say something disrespectful about a vendor's price or items, they might not like you, and they might not give you a good deal on stuff. So it kind of ties in with rule number 3. And those are my 5 rules as a buyer for you to get good deals, but also make relationships with people at a show and just try and be the most successful as a buyer at conventions.
Back at it again on this side of the camera, and I'm here to give you my top 5 rules to create success for you at a convention as a content creator. Rule number 1, have a plan. That does not mean that you have to have every single thing outlined, scripted, things like that, but do have a plan, right? Do you want to get 2 videos recorded? Do you want to get 2 shorts recorded? Do you want to talk to some vendors, right? If you have a sort of baseline plan, then when you get into the convention, you're not confused. It'll also allow you to look for things like areas where you want to take photos for your thumbnails, starter questions when you get to those vendors, things to look for at their booths. Having a plan is very important when being a content creator. Rule number 2, test your equipment. Test your microphones, test your cameras, test your gimbals, right? Make sure that your microphones are connected and pairing. Make sure that everything is holding a charge. Make sure your SD card is in the camera so you don't leave the con and have literally no footage. Rule number 3, record as much as possible. Record as much as possible does not mean record all the time. Now, I will say that live streaming has become a huge industry, right? Especially IRL streaming. IRL streams have blown up. And I think a big part of that is the connection that you get with being able to watch someone do things in real time. You catch all of their real reactions, all of the conversations, you know, none of it's made up, none of it's AI, but you don't need to record 100% of the time as a content creator. You're also at a convention. You should enjoy being at the convention. That being said, know what kind of content you make. If your kind of content is finding deals or flipping games, right? Then while you're digging through stuff, you should probably be recording that. If your type of content is asking questions to vendors, don't start recording after you've already asked them some questions. Obviously ask for permission first, right? But you should record all of those conversations. And then, you know, save some time for yourself on the back end. Rule number 4, have extra batteries and or chargers or charging cables at a minimum on you, right? You never know how much you're gonna record. You don't know if you might accidentally leave your camera on. What if you get halfway through the day, your hotel is an Uber ride away, and you've lost all of the battery on your camera, which is great. That means you've got a lot of content, but that means you need to find a way to recharge it. So whether it's a portable battery, extra wall block with cable, whatever that is, make sure you bring that with you. That way when the time comes, you can just replace that. Now the last rule, I don't know if it's the most important, but it's definitely my favorite. Rule number 5, make what you like. If you make what you will like what you make, and the people that like your content will find you. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't ask your community what they want to see, or you know, make challenge videos that other people would like. But you making what you like will inevitably make your content better because you're gonna enjoy making it. And people are gonna be able to tell. You're going to enjoy the jokes more, right? Hopping on trends, totally fine. But make what you like, then you'll like what you make, and people will come and find you. Those are my top 5 rules as to how to create success at a convention being a content creator. Hope you guys have the best of luck.
Okay, so you're really getting a beginner's perspective for me here, but it seems rule number 1 goes without saying is have cash.
Bring cash.
For your simple transactions all the way to when people are trying to sell things to you. I'd say rule number 2, definitely eat healthy and drink water. If you're selling, you're gonna have to be sharp. You're talking to people all day. Everybody's wanting to tell you stories. You're telling stories about your products. Just stay healthy, be sharp. Rule number 3, probably gonna go on a booth-to-booth basis, but consider your flow of traffic. And I would say probably my number 4, be a passive observer. Pay attention to people. Like, be over here, I'm talking about a game in your booth, maybe you have it. Take note of the Pokemon on their shirt. Make simple conversations. Just be a passive observer and talk to the crowd. Final rule is be willing to negotiate.
So they gave you all kind of our top 5 rules. And that's kind of like position specific, but as someone that has now attended, I don't know, like 20 cons across the entire country. I guess we haven't done West Coast. West Coast we haven't done a whole lot of. We'll see what next year brings. I'm gonna kind of give you all my top 5 as someone that's kind of done all of it. I did a little bit of vending the last con, but I'm always buying. I was making the videos all by myself, and then I got Justin, and now I have Charles to completely do it. So cash is king. Number 1 rule, always, without a doubt, bring cash. A lot more vendors have become more accepting of like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, whatever. Especially if you've done deals with them, they know who you are. They don't have a problem with it. So I think also as you've done it a while, they're gonna be more willing to do stuff like that. Next is, as a vendor, you have to bring your good stuff. We bring good, and we have some cheap stuff, especially a con like we're going to Retrofest. People are coming for the rare stuff, the expensive stuff, the cool stuff, the stuff that they can't find in their area. People are trying to complete collections. Some of them might even be starting collections, and they just want to start off with the most expensive game. So you got to bring the good stuff, the stuff that people can't just find anywhere. That's kind of what they're looking for. That's why they're paying to get into a con to buy stuff. I think this is something that's helped the business a lot as we've grown. It's just be personable. When you go up to a vendor, talk to them, have good conversation, figure out why they're selling, what kind of stuff they're selling, things like that. Try to make a genuine connection with them. Don't just try to make a connection because they can do something to benefit you, like give you a discount or something. Take genuine interest in the people. The next thing is just treat people right. I think that's something that's helped our business grow, is like when we make deals, we're not looking for 50% off on things. A lot of times we're honestly just asking for 10%, which most vendors are marking up 10% anyway. So like asking for a 10% discount, it's not that big of a deal. We're not coming in, we're not greedy. If I offer you 50%, it's because I don't really want it, but you want to sell it to me, or it's something that we have a hard buy cost, like a console. Like, we know exactly how much we want to pay for consoles, but just treat people right, make good offers, and that's gonna get you a long ways, especially if you're going to a lot of cons. And then I think the last thing, we talked a lot about, you know, cash is king, but also know your limits. If you take $1,000 and that's your budget for the weekend, if you take $100 and that's your budget for the weekend, don't spend more than that. That's what you budgeted. That's the reason you budgeted it. Don't go over it. If your goal was 1,000 or your budget was 1,000, don't spend over that. We take a large vehicle and we've had to upgrade our vehicle because we kept filling the car. And there was one con where we literally had to put stuff in someone else's vehicle that was there. There was a vendor that we knew, and they brought it back for us because we overbought. Know your limits, whether that's your spending, your time, your car, whatever that looks like. That will help you a lot. And then this weekend, I have to say, we are going to be at the con. We're going to be buying a lot of cool stuff because we're bringing it all back here and we're throwing it in the store for a big drop on the 26th. We've already kind of started stockpiling, and there is some sick stuff. I know we saw a Pikachu N64 come in today with the controller. We got Conker's Bad Fur Day. We have a signed Mario Monopoly signed by Charles Martinet. That just came in the store, but now we're gonna go look for specific items that we know will do well on the drop. So I hope to see you guys there, and that'll do it.